always be amused by the events that transpired at the Garden of Eden. Many of us are familiar with the story of Adam and Eve. Even for those who are not Christians, you probably have heard it before. Sometimes I think about what the outcome could be if, despite the fact that Adam and Eve ate from the tree that God had commanded them to not eat from, even if Adam and Eve listened to the serpent and disobeyed God, which was actually already a boundary problem, but what could the outcome have been if they didn't pass the buck? As sometimes I imagine, what if as soon as they ate of the fruit and their eyes opened, instead of hiding, they ran to God instead of waiting for God to find out? Some of the time I imagine a different scenario. Let's even say when God came calling on them and said, Adam, where are you? You know what Adam did? After all the I was hiding scenario, Adam said, it was the woman you gave me that caused me to fall. Adam did two things there. He did not just accuse Eve, he also accused God. And sometimes I wonder, what if when God, let's say they even hid out of shame, but when God came calling on them, what if he just said, I'm sorry, I was ashamed of myself because I've offended you? Could we have had a different outcome? Who knows? My name is Mugwe Fashakim, and today I want to discuss It's Your Choice. When I was a kid, my mom could forgive anything you've done wrong. Anything you've done wrong. But she would discipline you if you did something wrong. You waited for her to find out, like Adam and Eve did with God. And when she finds out, you blame the devil. I think blaming the devil for your shortcoming was an egregious offense in my mom's book of offenses, and she wouldn't forgive you. You will catch your discipline with force and fury. How many times have we taken the glory for the amazing things that turned out well in our lives? Oh, I owe nobody anything, I'm self-made, I'm this and that. And just how often do we take accountability, or do we take ownership for how things turn around? You go on a vacation, you have an examination coming up, but you think, oh, I'm so stressed. Another break, then you go on a vacation thinking you could crunch your study time into 1 week. You miscalculated the time required for good success. And when you come back, you couldn't do so well in the exam. Then you blame everything. You blame poverty, you blame capitalism, you blame the system. Oh, everybody blames the system. You blame the system, you blame your mental health, you blame every other thing except your lack of boundaries with time. I'm going to be quite emphatic about it is a choice. It is a choice to shift your boundaries, to allow yourself step out of your boundaries, or to allow other people violate your boundary space. And the other time, we had a robust conversation about setting the limits of what a boundary is. For clarity once again, boundaries are not what you shove on people anyhow when you want to shove them out of your life and say, hey, my boundaries, they don't cross it. No, it's not so aggressive. There is so much of therapists speak everywhere, and people are hostile to their friends, to their loved ones, saying, hey, that's my boundary, don't cross it. You don't even have to say, that's my boundary, don't cross it. Your friends only need to know that I need to be home by 10 p.m. I like to say my prayers by 10:30, or I like to read the book by 10:30, or I like to be in bed by 10:30, or I like to call my family by 10:30. So anybody who expects you to be out by 11, unless it's very important, they know you wouldn't make that sacrifice. That's a boundary setting. You don't have to shout at them or yell at them because they invited you for, let's say, a dinner that was panning into the late night. Then you make a case out of your boundary setting. That is being rude. And that is being hideous to people around you. You don't have to yell or be obnoxious about what your boundaries are. You only have to set them. The less you use the word boundary in your interactions with people, the more amiable you are, I would think. I don't think anybody wants to be friends with anyone who goes about yelling boundaries all over the place. So please be circumspect and be wise about how you apply life lessons into your friendships. There's a group of people who are known to take all the glory and pass all the buck to other people. Guess who they are? They're children. And that's acceptable for them. Or that's understandable with them because they're children. They're just learning how the world works. They're learning what being a responsible person is. They're learning what accountability is. And that's why there's an adult, a guardian, or a parent, a teacher, to help shaping their perspectives, disposition towards life, to what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. When you make a choice to make a decision, the outcome is your responsibility. Whether it's beneficial or consequential, it is your responsibility. Do not pass the buck. You will have to set boundaries with food, with time, with social media, with people, with yourself, with your work, with money, with your appetite. Why is it important to take responsibility for the outcome? Here is why. It is important because I have seen adults 2 generations ahead of me who are still passing the buck at their old age. I'm not judging them. It's heartbreaking for me to see because you cannot begin to effect a change. You cannot even come to the place of making a decision for a change. You cannot even come to the realization of the need for a change and that the power for that change is in your hands if you do not come to the place of acknowledging and admitting that the choice was yours to set boundaries, to move boundaries, and to choose to not set them. You will spend your entire life blaming your parents, blaming your family, blaming the country you were born in, blaming your career, your job, your bosses, your neighbor, your landlord, your government for everything. Listen, there are things that are outside your control. But when you put 2-3 people in the same situation, under the same conditions, they will still have different results because your attitude, your disposition to life impact the outcome you see. And this is practical for me because I had a bad experience for 1 year. 1 year of a mandatory paramilitary service, by the way. And it was negative all through for me. I don't like to recall that particular year. But at the end of the year, when I got together with my friends and we were reviewing, because we were posted to different places and we were reviewing the outcomes, I could see that they had remarkably great experiences. And I sat back with myself and asked myself, why was my story different? Why was my outcome different? Even in the same place, the same posting, other people had positive things to say. They didn't have the same experience as I had. And I had to come to the place to acknowledge that I was negative about that particular 1 year's mission before it even started. And that was a wake-up call for me. Taking responsibility for the outcome I had as the choice I made, the state of my mind that I chose to put myself in, helped me afterwards. If I had to set on any endeavor, or if I encounter any challenge or difficulty since then, of which I have encountered a mighty couple of difficulties, I address my mind. The choice is mine to let my mind be influenced by negativity or to set boundaries around the kind of thoughts I'm allowed to have regarding the outcome I desire to see. In friendships, Many people spend ample amount of time trying to control, manipulate, and influence the other person to be who they want them to be. We spend too much time blaming the other person for the outcome of our relationships, our friendships, and our lived experiences. I hope you take some time to reflect on this and make tangible changes for yourself primarily. Always remember, it is your choice. The ownership is yours, accountability is yours, whether the outcome is good or bad. Take ownership. It is your choice. And that way you can begin to effect the change you desire to see. Talk soon.